realizing 2014 is only 3 months away. Yeah.
Spoilers for the entire Yakuza series, but specifically for Yakuza 5, 6, 7 / Like a Dragon, 8 / Infinite Wealth, Judgment and Lost Judgment, Kiryu's Guiding Game, and obviously Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. So you've been warned. So Pirate Yakuza is a good game. I wanted to preface that beforehand because I'm seeing something real strange going on in general Yakuza discourse, mostly on Twitter, but it's sort of in the realm of the value of subjective enjoyment and the objective bettering of the series. To keep it simple, I've been seeing a sizable sum of people saying that most general Yakuza fans keep sugarcoating our feelings when discussing pieces of the game that we don't like, and that will eventually lead to the series getting worse, since, Infinite Wealth had a controversial-ish story thing because some people really didn't like the story beats and Ichiban's section getting overshadowed, and now now people think that it's happening in Pirate Yakuza because, once again, overall story was not the best at all. And keep in mind, I agree on paper. Looking at it objectively, Pirate Yakuza is probably on the lower spectrum of quality in comparison to the other games. The story at its best is fun, and at its worst, it's just paced horribly by just dropping shit in at random intervals because, yeah. The new characters in the game are, once again, either really fun or they solely exist to move the plot, like that fucking New York investor guy. Fucking what? And if you're a player who likes the styling and the deeper combat systems, well, tough shit, that also got kneecapped because there's a fucking lower juggle limit, no ground heat actions, and only one heat action bar. What the fuck? And the actual pirate shit is, once again, really cool, but it's just really weird and limited, like how the enemies can get items that you can't use, like an enhanced battering ram, or shooting mortars that they can do. You can't even do the thing in Assassin's Creed 4 where you can drop explosive barrels behind you, or have specific sharpshooting things that deal maximum damage to ships. And I would have also really appreciated the option to just say fuck it and have Majima himself board a ship, so you have to do a big mob battle instead of having to go through the same fucking thing of just sinking a bunch of lower level ships in one area. Ugh. And the only net redeeming thing about this game is getting Majima Mad Dog, sort of, in the protagonist role. That's really cool and epic. Now that I've said all of that, though, I must reiterate that this game is still good. Pretty good, even. The combat system, while lacking in its style depth, is still engaging enough to be fun. The side content is still good except for fucking Dragon Card. Why the fuck did they bring that back? And being a yo-ho pirate Yakuza who just so happens to be in Hawaii is just a really fun thing. It's fun. I'm having a good time while playing the game, despite all of the things I just said before. We can be critical and acknowledge the shortcomings without hating the entire product. If anything, it would be the opposite of sugarcoating, whatever that is called. Would it be valid to say, yeah, this game sucks and is dumb and stupid because of things X, Y, and Z, but just ignore all the other parts where I had fun, a lot of fun? That's dumb and stupid. I've sort of come to the consensus that this game was just really, really safe on RGG's part. I have no idea what their creative thought process was when making this game. Maybe it was to exclusively fill an unanswered question in Infinite Wealth. Maybe it was to reuse this Hawaii map, because of course it was. But maybe they thought the initial premise alone would alienate a lot of longtime people and newcomers alike, so they decided to just be risk-averse for the rest of the game and just played it super safe. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, every villain in this game is awful garbage trash. I can forgive combat regression. I can also forgive a little bit of the pirate stuff being a little underbaked, but I will not, under any circumstances, let RGG get away with writing, not even just villains, just characters, this fucking bad ever again. This is something I will not stand, and you shouldn't let stand either. I mean it. Every single villain in this game is bad. Almost all of them have just little to no backstory, and when they do have a backstory, it's 2 minutes and barely means anything at all. All of these guys don't even feel like RGG written bad guys. They feel like they were ripped straight out of a Western AAA game dev game. You could drop the main bad guys of these games in a Ubisoft game and they would blend in. They are that bad. From Keith, Let's ignore the fact that Majima beefed with a nigga named Keith all the way to Raymond Law, who has pocketed the title of worst RGG villain from Aizawa. At least Aizawa was an attempt at something good and failed. Raymond had nothing, like every other bad guy in this game. Let's just go over all of them in order of not that bad to like super ultra I just shit my pants in Walmart level bad.
I'm addicted. I'm addicted.
Yep, he's the best one. I feel really bad for the person who ignored the spoiler warning and is like halfway through the game because, yep, you peaked. You peaked with Jack the Collector, buddy. Sorry. So, like, he's not even that good, but that just tells you how bad the rest of these bad guys are. So, Jack is just a pirate who happens to collect stuff. He also works for Mortimer, who we'll get to. But yeah, he's cool because he has tenacity. He's no Kuze, but he goes above and beyond. Like, genuinely, I was not expecting him to show up as late in the game as he did, let alone commit an act of domestic terrorism just to kill Majima. And, like, his hatred is a smidge justified. Like, he's not right, obviously. He's a fucking evil-ass pirate who just likes stealing things. But, like, Majima jacked his hat and his ship. Like, yeah, that's an enemy for life, nigga.
Keith.
Majima beefed with a nigga named Keith. Anyway, he's just Jack's underling who gets his ass beat more times than Jack. I love reoccurring fodder bad guys who do more than the actual villains. Fuck.
Fuck you, you're cool, and fuck you, I'm out.
These guys aren't even main story bad guys, but I feel like throwing them in because, you know, I wanted to. But it's still impressive how lame they are. Like, there wasn't even an attempt to make them interesting. Like every other Yakuza game side thing where you have a bunch of bad guys who have 1 to 2 personality traits and whatever, and they still somehow managed to make them even more boring. Like, I get it. They had to just reuse the aesthetic so they can reuse all the assets. So, you know, you got Captain Samurai for all the samurai things they have, and Captain Shinobi for all the ninja assets they have, and Captain Yakuza because, of course, they were going to have a fucking Yakuza pirate who's not in Hawaii. Woo. Their main guy, Captain Zeus, is just not even intimidating, and then right when you're about to fucking fight him, he like goes Super Saiyan. He just charges up energy somehow and becomes really strong, so I guess that's why all of these cooler, much stronger looking guys decided to beat the shit out of him. It's just bleh, bleh, corny nonsense. Oh, you don't even get to recruit any of them after you beat them, which is also really lame. And I think actually the most lame part that I just thought about is that, you know, you have to do this if you want all of the dark instruments so you can, you know, have a better expansive game thing with your pirate madness gauge. And double fuck RGG for making the monkey electric guitar the worst one.
M'lady.
This character, Mortimer, fucking hurts because honestly, like, this one's the closest. This one is genuinely just the closest you get to something pretty cool. But nope, he ends up lame because you think, oh, this guy's trying way too hard to be like Queen Michelle. Like, look at how he's dressed, bro. Like, something to do with that. But nope, he shows up. We hear about how he used to be a bounty hunter and fucked over Jason and Masaru for money. And he says, I'm better than you, Majima. Fuck you. Tips his fedora, loses, and then gets shot in the head when he was about to maybe spill the beans and maybe redeem himself. And then he dies, and that's it. Bro tried to aura farm with a Reddit tier fit and failed and got shot in the fucking face. Good for you, man.
I'm evil, nigga.
Okay, so now this is the part that disappoints me because of all the wasted potential here. Queen Michelle would have been the first major female antagonist we've had since these fucking amoebas from Yakuza 5. There probably is one other person, but I don't remember. And like, from like the trailers and shit, I just would have thought, okay, maybe she has like grander motivations. Maybe she's gonna maybe she wants the treasure or something to actually do something well for the world. But no, she gets introduced as an objectively evil human being who fucking sends people to die by having them try and fight sharks to death. Just evil, and she wants the money for more evil influence and money and power and women. Evil woman. And hey man, maybe I could have put her under Mortimer because at the very least that personality works well to her to be the cross between a Wami and Bryce, but a woman. Just being a super evil super villain could have worked, and it does work. Technically, she is the most She's the one who benefits the most from being evil with no regards, but she could have not have been evil with absolutely no questions about it. And that's what hurts my feelings the most. But it doesn't get any better because good lord.
Calm down, okay? Alright? He's fat!
Dear Lord all fucking mighty, Raymond Law feels like what would happen if you made the what is Yakuza even about guy right a villain. He has no intrigue, no nuance, no aura. He calls himself the Pirate King, but I don't think we ever see his ship. And his crew is all of Madlantis, I guess. I bet you don't even remember what his crest looks like, because you only see it when you're about to do the final fucking boss fight with him. We never see how actually strong he is, besides people just telling us he's strong until he one-taps Majima with a single clothesline, and then proceeds to get washed by Majima after he got jumped for like 5 hours straight. It's like RGG wanted to make Raymond Law some sort of master commander type, so where he's controlling everything from the seams for the perfect opportunity to strike, and when that time does arise, he's able to go out and wreck shit by himself. But the problem is he's nowhere near as charismatic as fucking Ryuji Goto or Watase. He's not as fucking flamboyantly evil as Iwami or Bryce Fairchild. And the last minute backstory that they threw into him makes him nowhere near as sympathetic as Nishiki, Mine, Ryoelki, or God forbid Shishido. Like, jeez Louise. I just said fucking jeez Louise, nigga. And because he lacks all of those traits of not even just a good villain, but a good leader, it makes me ask why the fuck are all of these guys following his beck and call? And since Queen Michelle is probably just lower end of high society elite wealth, because, you know, even when she died, it doesn't seem like anybody was coming to avenge her, because like her armies got washed, but even then, like nobody's gonna fucking do anything, or they sold her out for the treasure. Maybe they should have used that opportunity to have Raymond Law actually be charismatic and be like, oh yeah, I talked to all these guys before and they trust me with getting this treasure shit done. Go fuck yourself, Michelle. And then he locks that bitch in a coquina clutch. That would have been cool. And speaking of the coquina clutch, fucking how do you have Samoa Joe, a top 10 modern wrestler ever, don't question me on that shit, and you have all of his fighting styles be weapon based. Like, no cool ass fucking punches, no insecurities or anything, no coquina clutch, be for real, RGG. Look man, I'm getting so heated about this because one of the flaws of the entire Yakuza franchise, like right up there with women not being real characters until 7 with exceptions, absolutely unnecessary death retcons, please for the love of God, do not let me down, Yakuza 0 Definitive Edition, is that literally every villain in the series can be boiled down to a man who wants power and influence. That's why the standouts are ones with like a bit of nuance with their portrayal, or ones that just Hail Mary it and ham up how incredibly evil they are, or their goals are actually different from power and influence, or you could just be a judgment villain and actually just be really, really cool. Yeah. And before anybody comes up and hits me with the
hey stupid, these are pirates. Of course they're all just going about money and influence and being evil. That's it, they're pirates.
And look, man, that is a solid fucking, like, that's one of the themes. That's one of the themes of this game. How money can fucking corrupt the shit out of you. Hell, Shigaki, one of the cooler, chiller characters in this game, was straight up ready to stab a child for this fucking treasure. Oh, but not stab a child. Threaten to stab a child. Shut the fuck up. Saichima should have knocked that nigga out for that, bro. What the fuck? And yeah, that's a solid theme, but for the main antagonist, bro, come on. You gotta have something a bit more than that and a one-sentence backstory explaining how he had a shitty, bad, poor childhood, so he had to climb up the scraps, and now I'm going to have all of the money and power and influence. Because one, it's boring. It's just a boring thing to have happen. 2, to make it not boring, they needed to full send it and have him be cartoonishly evil. If he was like fucking picking up pennies and be like, money, money. If he was Mr. Krabs levels of shit, then it would have been fun. It would have been fun to see Majima kill this nigga. But no. The best we got was him laughing at his huge money pile and sitting on it like a... Yeah!
紹介するの忘れてました。
And 3, For a series that has the basically fucking giant mission statement of not all criminals are evil monsters, some of them are actually really good people who just so happen to be criminals. They are human beings with lives, thoughts, interactions, all of that first and foremost, and criminals are just the occupation they have. And then having pirates just be the bloodthirsty, money-hungry sadists with no nuance to be found is pitiful at best and antithetical to the entire series at worst. I'd like to end this video with just one thing that I found insane just to think about. That from Gaiden game to Gaiden game, because this game is a Gaiden game. Don't let the lack of it in a title fool you. This is a Gaiden game. That RGG went for making Kosei Shishido, a character who was not fighting just for obligatory power and influence and being the strongest Yakuza. He was fighting to maintain the status quo of the Yakuza, because that is literally what his entire life has been about. He's been tortured, abused in any way that you could possibly imagine just to be in the higher position that he is now, and that he could easily climb higher. And it's all being taken away from him. Everything, his entire life would be for nothing. And it's being taken by his enemies from the Tojo clan, no less. There's nothing out there in the normal world for Shishido. Nothing. And when it's all said and done, when he fails, he isn't even offered the luxury of death, because now he is a slave to an even crueler master, the Daidoji faction. Truly just a tragedy from beginning to end. To fucking...
Give me your money.